Now, everybody, we're the triumvirate.
I don't know if that works. It works better when you say your name, Cantonese Cat.
It's good. It's as good as it's gonna get. So let's just roll with it. Oh man.
Oh man, I'm so happy to be back with you guys. Cat, welcome back from Egypt. Got to see all your ancestors there, your cat sisters.
Your cat sisters. You sound like you're in a fighter jet right now.
I am in a fighter jet right now. I'm like dun 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 dun. Highway to the danger zone. No, I'm just kidding.
Demonetized. Thanks.
Yep,
No, demonetized.
They're kicking us off right now as we speak. And not because of the demonetization. It's because of the horrible singing. No.
Oh, I know, right? You know, you can only sing so well when you're in your private helicopter.
That's true.
So,
how's the traffic looking?
Thank goodness for noise cancellation technology. It's pretty good here, actually. We're doing a lot of lane switching. A lot of lane switching's happening. I'm in the back. I'm in the back of the van.
The good news is you're not cutting out, so that's good. Unlike the morning show where
oh my god, it's been a challenge. It's been the struggle bus with the morning shows.
Cat doesn't understand that.
No, I feel like I've been missing out. I don't know what I've been missing, but hey, you know.
Sorry, you can catch us. Well, hopefully the Wi-Fi will be good tomorrow, but next week you could maybe catch a show where we have the. I just keep cutting out. I'm the track.
That's how I imagine you're in bed. So anyway, yeah. So let's.
This is so nice. Naked Empire 2 says, "I missed all three of you magnificent bastards." And it is. It's really nice to be reunited again after it's been a couple weeks. A couple weeks of us. We've all been doing different things.
This is true. This is true.
That is indeed true. Yes.
Great. Well, gosh, let's get started then. They're here for the fun banter, but they also want to see some TA. Like the car is shaking so much I can't even see. What is this Bitcoin that this is on the screen?
Yeah, that's Bitcoin.
Woo!
It's
the type is so small.
You can feel the shakeout. That's what you're feeling right now.
I am feeling the shakeout right now.
You're getting shook out right now. You're shooken out of the market. Yeah.
My Coinbase account was shaken earlier, but then it recovered. It looked really good afterwards.
Yeah. So people are. I guess we can just jump right in. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. We'll do the.
Yeah, why not? I mean, Bitcoin is the hot topic of everything nowadays, so we can just see what's exactly going on. And I think both the linear scale and the log scale fibs are really telling the story here. That it's on the linear scale, it's just stuck in between a range, and on log scale, it got rejected by the 1.272 fib extension right up top at the 103.611. So this is a bigger rejection than linear scale. This is the log scale rejection from the high back in 2021. So this is something that might take a while to get above. Not sure if it's going to blast through this month or not, but I think it could just spend some time cooling off. And when I look at the daily candles here for the Ichimoku, I can see that it's still trying to hang on to that baseline. And I'm not sure if it wants to go down and touch the cloud again, maybe in the low 90s one more time before it really tries to go off and set new all-time highs. And if it just traded sideways while to wait to touch the cloud, that could be end of the month. Could be December 30th if it didn't want to go down lower. So what say you, Kat, about the Bitcoin chart?
Well, I would say this, since you got the daily Ichimoku there, I don't think it has to necessarily go sideways for that long. Let's see here. Do you have my my thing?
Yeah, your
there?
screen is up.
Yeah, so basically seeing the same thing here. You know, you have basically the price action just kind of stuck between the Tenkan Nikkei or the baseline. It's got some couple of really nice wicks here over the last couple of days, so I feel pretty promising about that. And honestly, even though it does have a little bit of like an exhausted look over here, it also had a little bit exhausted look over here too before. It did the same thing where things are just still a little bit away from the daily cloud and it pushed higher anyway. So I feel like we might end up doing that for the next leg up. And then previously during the leg up here, we had the same thing, right? Where things just kind of looking a little bit exhausted and they just kind of back test the baseline down here and just kind of make some highs here. I mean, eventually we did end up gravitating down to the cloud here, but it doesn't necessarily have to do that anytime soon. So who knows? Maybe it's just going to be making its next leg up from here. I think that's entirely possible. And
but even with that big ass resistance at the 103, 611, that big resistance zone.
Yeah, the ad is pretty big. I mean, I also have a couple of things. I basically drew like a weekly log scale again. I see the same thing. You know, it's got some pretty crazy margin symmetry here too. It's got some pretty crazy margin symmetry too. You know, this arc right here is resistance. This arc right here is resistance. This arc right here is resistance. And right now we're grabbing to this arc over here. And I'm seeing the exact same thing with confluence of the 1.272 as resistance. But hey, you know, it's just resistance. I think the fact that we spent so long down here underneath the previous all-time high at this arc over here, I think we might end up maybe spending another few weeks over here. But I think eventually we're going to be probably pushed into the arc and probably, you know, trying to challenge the 1.272. I don't think it has to go down that much further. I guess that's what I'm trying to say.
So do you think 100,000 by end of week? There is a question in the chat about that.
I don't ever want to like it. To me, it doesn't matter because the last week actually ended up closing above 100,000, right? So that actually is a positive sign. And so far, to be completely honest with you, like I don't know what to make out of this. It always does this thing where it kind of just look a little bit exhausted on the way up, and Bitcoin does this. Like it looks a little bit exhausted on the way up, but it just keeps pushing up. I find it to be very, very similar spot over here right now as we are over here. That's kind of what I'm seeing right now. So whatever it does in the short term, it doesn't really matter. I just don't think it has to come back down to like, you know, 80,000, 70,000, like a lot of people are saying. Usually when it takes off, it just starts to take off. I actually think that the monthly chart might be a little bit more of a telltale in terms of what it's doing. If you're looking at the Bollinger Band, I see this being the start of something maybe a little bit more parabolic, because pretty much every single cycle you have the Bollinger Band full expansion with the Bollinger Band go all the way down to the negatives, and we might be starting to do that. Like usually, when things are starting to build up a stronger bull trend, as it goes up, it doesn't just go up straight away, right? It has a little bit of volatility here, and you can see a Bollinger Band kind of doing its thing, where it initially had a little bit of like expansion, contraction, expansion, contraction, and then full expansion, right? Here, you know, a little bit of expansion here, contraction, expansion, contraction, and then full expansion, expansion, contraction, expansion, contraction. Maybe we're going to get the full expansion soon, you know. And right now we do have, I see this Bollinger Band like morphology looking very similar to like it did over here and like it did over here. So I think if you also think about from like a cycle analysis kind of thing, I think it's also a very, very similar area of the cycle. Like, you know, you remember when I was talking about how November of 2020 may have been very similar to November 2024. Seems to be the case, right? So yeah, if that is the case, then I think December might also be a pretty bullish month. And right now, looking into consideration, like you can understand why you're having a hard time pushing up above, because the upper Bollinger Band is right where price is at right now. It's like 96,000. It wants to go up higher, but it's just kind of restricted a little bit by the upper Bollinger Band. Yeah, so that's kind of what I'm seeing. So I like whether or not it's going to hit 100,000 by the end of the week. To me, it really doesn't matter. As long as the way that like if it closes like the way it does, it's going to be still very extremely bullish to me. So
yeah, I actually wanted to show the Bitcoin channels before we move on to if you're finished.
I'm finished.
Okay. So
I know it often is.
I'm mesmerized.
Yeah, it's often hard to tell whether or not I'm finished or not, but I'm finished.
Is that what your wife says?
Oh,
Who?
What's going on? Anyways, back on topic here. So I just wanted to show you the channels since the very beginning of Bitcoin, and we can see that in 2011 it just went up through one channel at a time, and then here it went up to the kind of the middle, then back down, and then up to this top one, and then just down through the bottom channels here, one level at a time as support and resistance. And what is Bitcoin doing right meow? Well, it is in a new channel range, right? You can see it right here. The past 4 weeks in a row, it flipped this previous resistance, which was once a support, right back here, and it broke down, was a resistance, and it flipped it back to a support. So that is, in my eyes, confirmation enough that maybe it doesn't want to go below 93,000, right? Maybe 93K is going to be the limit. Maybe a wick below is possible, back down to that 91. But I really think this is the new channel that is starting, and the top range of that channel is around 135,000. So I think that would be the next spot to go. So just wanted to share.
I like it. I like it. Thanks, Matt.
Can you even see that tracker? Can you even see that?
I can. It looks beautiful from here. Even though it's only like 2 inches tall and 3.5 inches wide. Your whole screen, but I can see it.
I'm sorry, you said 3.5 inches wide. That's,
yes.
Okay, that's some pretty nice growth. Anyway, go ahead.
Oh, good times. But yeah, this is a very bullish chart, and I think it adds confluence to your Bollinger Band thesis and stuff like that too. It's just, I don't think it wants to go lower. You know, it can just stay in this range and keep spooking people out, but it's just doing sideways action before it wants to explode higher.
You have a very similar look to back in towards the end of 2020. You have a very similar look where it just kind of broke up, to the next channel, kind of back tested a little bit.
Well, it did, before it really broke out, it did do the same look where it was on top of that channel right here. And then it just collapsed and faked people out, and then it took off. So perhaps if people are looking for like 80,000, maybe they could do the same thing before going higher. But I just don't see that. I see something in a range. I see it holding, and I see it wanting to just continue in that range until it's ready to break out.
Yeah, and it really is a different, story for Bitcoin now. You got all these governments starting to adopt it everywhere, governments and companies, and it's not just Joe Schmo in his garage mining Bitcoin anymore. It's talking about Bitcoin. It's everybody. Because Microsoft was talking about it, but even though their shareholders decided to vote it down.
Yeah, I saw that too.
Yeah, fade Microsoft. Anyway,
I was hoping GME was going to announce that they bought the dip like Michael Saylor had, but I didn't see any such announcement.
Yeah, they don't have to, but yeah. Eventually, everybody's going to have some Bitcoin exposure. It's just a matter of time. But...
Yeah.
All right. People are asking about XRP a lot right now. Do you have an opinion on that, Kat? Everybody knows my opinion, but they want to know your opinion. They're asking.
I think it. Yeah. So as far as I'm concerned, this is my opinion. Is this? It made like this wick over here is an all-time high, right? And right now it's stuck in a range, but it's forming a bull flag right around here where I think it's going to break out. I think when it breaks out, it's probably going to go up to like maybe at least like around $9-10. It could go up higher. Before it kind of broke above, like I really wasn't sure because it was suppressed during the last cycle, so I don't have like a full cycle to really analyze. So it was really kind of hard for me to really be able to be like 100% sure. But I think your thesis was making sense. Like it's just been suppressed, so when it breaks out, it's going to be, pretty. I guess it's not all-time high yet, but when it breaks out, it's going to be pretty parabolic. And I think it's entirely possible for it to hit some of the higher targets up above. Now that it broke about the 0.786, I think it also broke about the 0.86 here too. Yeah, and it's basically back testing that almost perfectly. you're talking about some of the other targets here. I can totally see it hitting like $8, $13, $26, no problem this cycle. Just because.
Ooh, did I hear you say $26? Ooh, maybe my $29 target is not so far off after all, huh?
Yeah, I mean, like the last cycle, they really was suppressing it. Like it couldn't break above the 0.786, and that's why it got rejected.
Yeah.
It just didn't really get there, right? But
and this time around, it didn't even stop at the 786.
Yeah.
It was just clear sailing, cut like butter. Cut
yeah,
through
like butter, and then back testing 0.86. Like this is a very bullish look.
And not only that, look at that back test. It back tested just today the 2021 high. Look at that gorgeous back test.
Beautiful, perfect back test.
Yeah, with the wick right there. Yeah, so like I'm not bearish on it anymore because of this look. I think higher targets are possible. I think minimally like $8, but it could potentially make some higher targets. So that's why I think makes XRP.
Yeah, that's what I've been saying the whole time.
Okay, man.
In your face.
I was busy buying Doge.
That's true. That's true. You were
anyway.
Doge. Yeah. But everybody knows my thoughts, and I talk about it way too much anyway. So, what about you, Tracker? I know you don't have a computer in front of you, but you.
I don't. But you and I definitely have confluence in our charts between on our XRP. We're both looking at $8 to $9 for this next cycle to finish up a little bit, maybe a little bit of consolidation, and then I'm with you up to $26-ish, 26, 27. I like XRP. I'm not bearish on it at all. I've been buying it every time I get like an extra, quarter in my pocket. I just like deposit it into Coinbase and buy XRP with it.
Well, don't we sound like an echo chamber, huh?
I know.
Well, I'm gonna show my 4-hour chart since
Do it.
People were asking about it.
Yeah, it's got a very nice monthly Bollinger expansion. I mean, like it might be a little bit over. Who cares?
Oh, I see that. Yeah.
Yeah, but go for it.
All right. Let's see here. Okay, yeah, 4-hour chart. Look what happened. So from the breakout from the blue level right here, it went straight up to the arc here where it was a resistance, then to the green, to the next level, back down, held it as support for a while. I thought it wasn't going to break, but it did just do a quick liquidity grab, a V bottom. And what do you see? It retested the bottom arc, which was a previous resistance, perfect back test of support. So not only was it the weekly back test of the previous 2021 high, but it was also a 4-hour back test of that 190 zone from right before it broke out. And now it recovered this 221 level here. So this is what I'm focused on. It just went straight up and got rejected at the 240 level with this angle right here. And now your support looks like it's just back in the same range, 221, and your resistance is way up here at 282. So nothing has changed at all. Just was a quick liquidity grab down there to be maybe like a little bit of a springboard to get back into action, but it's not looking to break out just yet because it's still stuck under quite a bit of resistance. But the good news is, as long as it stays above 221 on 4-hour candle closes and weekly closes, I think this thing will just continue to build a base and explode higher.
Yeah, I think a lot of times when you get these last second liquidity grabs, it's like the last thing I'm used to see before it really does launch off. I mean, Matt says it's under a lot of resistance. I believe him. But when I see these, I usually get the feel like it's ready to launch now.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to get above this angle here first, maybe like 240, flip that to a support, and then the 260s, and then the 280s. And I see a question in the chat just now. Any pullback below $2 before altcoin season takes off? Yeah, today. It was it was right here. It was literally 3-4-hour candles ago. It was 190, 189. It got to 189.9. So yeah, that was your below $2 pullback. Will we see it again? I don't know. I think the 220 level right here has a high probability of holding now because it looks like it wants to hold. It just needed to get all this liquidity down here first before it wanted to take off. So no, I don't really think it will go back below 2. I mean, I said that before over here too, but I really saw this holding, and so far it's spending more time above 220 than it is below. So technically, it is holding pretty well. So Just got to give it more time, but this will be ready sooner than later, I think.
Yeah, I think 200 pennies is going to be a pretty good support level.
200 pennies. That's
200
making
pennies.
allusions to the cost of my subscription on X.
Oh, yes.
Pennies.
At first, I thought he said 200 panties, but then
yeah.
Well, you know, when I say that, I really meant panties, but it's fine.
You know, I don't want to say I told you so, Matt, but I had that 76.4% fib extension level. I said, well, that's going to be resistance, and it just went a little bit over it, and then, but my TA was saying usually after 76.4, it comes back to the 30.2, which would have been $1.33. I'm glad I didn't do that, and I'm still not looking forward to do that because I like Matt's charts better than my own. So yeah, I think that's go ahead.
I see another question. Do you know max price? Do you guys know max price on X?
No,
I do not.
But I don't either. But he's saying that it's the cycle top. But Kat just showed you guys. It never closed a weekly candle ever above the 786 retrace since the all-time high. Never. Not even here. Not even one candle body closed above the 786. And now you just cut through it like butter. So is this the cycle top? No. I can't say 100%, right? But I'll say I'm 98% confident this is going much higher because this chart has never been this bullish. It never has since the all-time high. It never has been this bullish. And to say this is the cycle top is just insane for two reasons. One, it's above the 886 and the 786 continuously for 3 weeks almost. Two, it just successfully backtested the 2021 high. So for somebody saying this is the cycle top, I think they need to reevaluate their TA. But I don't want to like talk bad or anything. But this is just super bullish, super like even more bullish than a Tesla chart, I think.
Yeah, it used to be a game. Oh, go ahead.
No, somebody whose name Max Price is probably going to want to call Max Price.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Like, I mean, I don't know. Like, I'm a cat, so I'm Mal. So Max Price calls him like sure, whatever.
I'm gonna start an alias and call it Max Payne.
Nice.
I thought that's what your name means, Mess Payne. You know. Anyway.
Yes, yeah. Max Payne. Yes, I love the pain. I do love the pain. I am kind of like a little bit of a masochist when it comes to trading. I love the red days. I can't get enough of the blood. Yeah,
that's what he likes to buy. Buy support.
Yeah, but anyways, I've loved this chart for a long time. And now I love it even more because of all of this on the screen, how it's above these fib levels, and it's a perfect back test already of that 2021 high. Yeah, this is a gorgeous chart. This is what all charts should look like, in my opinion. But maybe not the time. This took a lot. This took a long time. Like a shorter amount of time would be perfect, but doing this at an 886 retest is really bullish.
Should we buy more at these levels? Well, you know, if we think that it's just hitting resistance right now, but that eventually it's going to go to $7 or $8 a share. I mean, a coin.
I like the $2. I like the 220 level. I like the $2 level, and I loved everything underneath $2. So that I think that was the opportunity. But when people saw sub $2, they panic, and so when you panic, you don't buy. And that's the problem with a lot of like retail traders. They think that it's just going to go lower, but having that mentality means you're always going to miss out.
I was tapping my phone so hard on Coinbase yesterday afternoon, trying just to buy more when it was down there. I saw it hit $1.80. It's like, oh, I gotta buy some more now.
But no,
can I find some money?
Do I like it right here? No, I don't. Like 240, I do not like it right there. I do like it down at 220, right? And I loved it down here, but I'm not buying more. I already have enough, so it's fine. Yeah.
Yep, I was joking around this morning on the show. It's like, who wants a $10,000 Cybertruck? You know, just buy $10,000 XRP, and then wait until it gets to about $8 or $9, and then there you go. You can buy your Cybertruck with that. And the price of the Cybertruck is going to keep coming down too. So hopefully, for myself, when we get to $8 or $9 per XRP, I'll be able to buy the Cybertruck and pay for the insurance with it.
Yeah, that is accurate. You could probably do that. Maybe even sooner than we all think. Well, what's on the menu next, Kat?
I mean, do you want to talk a little bit more about crypto in general, and then we can move on? I think somebody asked about GME. I'm sure you guys probably want to talk about like Tesla, which has broken about 400. You know, I don't know what you guys want to do.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh,
I
yeah,
know
all that
miners
stuff.
are. We could probably do more crypto than miners, I guess, and then all
Sure,
that other stuff.
let's do it.
Because a lot of people are worried about miners too, because of Bitcoin.
Okay.
So what else can we look at here? So, Doge, is Doge making you nervous? I want to ask you, Kat. Is it making you nervous going below the 886? Sorry,
I
the
mean,
786. I mean,
I'm pretty much never like nervous when not when it comes to something like this. I mean, it's
He's a cool
a lot.
cat.
Yeah, you can call me a cool cat. You know, last cycle actually it didn't even really have any candles closing about the 0.786 for like few weeks in a row. You know, and then finally it kind of broke above of it. And this cycle we actually have a couple candles closing above that. So matter of fact, I actually think this cycle actually looks a little bit more bullish. Last cycle, like if you want to flip to my screen here real quick,
yeah.
I can show it. Like the last cycle, it basically, if you do like the cycle high and the cycle low, let me fix that here. I can't. Oh man, I just totally messed it up. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is, what is the cycle low over here? 0.010012. I was just off by a little bit. Okay, so the last cycle, you basically had the cycle top is also a little bit off too, but you get the idea. It was stuck between the 0.618 and 0.786 here for a few weeks, and they eventually just kind of cut through like butter, right? This cycle, we actually have a couple of candles that are already closed above the 0.786. So the fact that it's kind of broken down below, actually, it doesn't matter. Last cycle actually came back down to, back test 0.618 actually. But this cycle didn't actually even really bother or want to do that. Like right now, it's just kind of want to hug the 0.786. So matter of fact, I actually think this cycle is a little bit more bullish than the last cycle. But otherwise, everything is kind of looking the same. Like if you look at the weekly Ichimoku, it's doing a very similar thing. Matter of fact, it's like way above the base and conversion here. Could it come back down, back test to 0.618? Possible, but I just don't really necessarily see that happening. If you're looking at the 2-week chart here, it's basically doing the very same thing. Broke through the 2-week cloud, and it's just hanging up above the Tenkan and Kijun. You look at the monthly actually look extremely bullish, because even though it broke down underneath the 0.786, it's getting rejected here on the monthly, you can see. But the good thing is you got the monthly cloud over here. It's a big, thick ass monthly cloud. So it's probably going to want to serve as some pretty nice cushion, if you know what I mean, to keep price supported. Last time we didn't even really need that to like backtest. It just kind of wanted to like go up here in a hurry. But this time we broke through the cloud here, backtested the cloud. These are like very extremely healthy price action. The big ass cloud is very healthy, and the support is very, very healthy. So I like healthy butts, and this is a nice look to it. So.
And you cannot lie.
Yeah, I'm a little bit goofy because I'm Stu Jack Lex. So I'm just gonna go off on rails. But yeah, stop me if you want to. But it's a pretty healthy chart. I have no complaints about it. Matter of fact, you're supposed to buy breakthrough at the back test, and I think we have just kind of back tested monthly Shimoku Cloud, which I think like Matt and I think like Tracker would probably agree. Like that's probably a pretty nice area to buy when it's kind of come back and it's just tapping it a little bit. That's where you kind of want to get in. But yeah, that's all I have to say. I mean, like if you, I guess I can show one more thing too. Is it overextended? Yeah, I mean it's like a little bit way over above the monthly Bollinger Band, but who cares? This is crypto. I think that it could potentially even wake down to like 33 cents to like even touch the Bollinger Band, kind of like how it did over here. But I don't think it has to do that. Like it's a very parabolic bull trend, and the lower Bollinger Band is like all the way down to the negatives now. So it's probably going to keep going. And I totally see it. If it's able to break about the 0.786, which I think it will, then I think like $2 or even $4 is like maybe a little bit in the bag. And then we can talk about some of the higher targets, which is absolutely insane. You think about the market cap, but I think if it breaks above some of the targets up here, it's probably going to get hit. So
I just need to interject. We've arrived at my destination. I just have to help them, help us get into the building. So, but you guys keep going. I'll stay connected and I'll come back in a minute.
Okay, no problem.
Stay alive.
Yes. Yeah, I have a lot of confluence of that support too on a 4-hour chart for a little doji. If you're finished with that,
I am finished. Again, you can't tell that I'm finished. Should I finish with a bang? When I just like mic drop, you know, like
no, you should finish with like a little melody or a meow.
All right, Mel's going to be the warning sign then.
Like, okay, and that's it, meow.
And Mel.
Yeah, so I don't show this 4-hour chart to anybody except for the
it's still showing
Patreon
my chart.
people.
Yeah, it's still showing my chart.
No, I know.
You got to flip it. You got to flip it, Mel. There you go.
Here it is. This is a gorgeous little 4-hour chart from when it broke the orange level to the blue level back test, and then the arcs were perfect, and then it just hit the 36 cents again for the millionth time on the 4-hour chart. So this was a perfect back test, very successful today, and it looks like that's the bottom. And 36 cents has been the bottom for some time now, and we can clearly visualize that with this 4-hour chart. And that means the price probably might just gravitate to the 45s again. But the ultimate target is to get above 51 cents. And then once that happens, then it can go much higher. So this 4-hour chart is kind of lining up with the monthly cloud. And I think it's a very beautiful back test going on for a continuation later.
Meow.
Meow.
Do you think it has to go back down, back test the arc below like 33 cents?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah,
I don't think it needs to.
Yeah,
like I think this level is really wanting to hold. I think so. It's been perfect support for the past 3 tries, so I don't really see a necessity to do that. So
yeah,
but we'll cross that bridge if it comes.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty much bullish across the board for a lot of like the crypto. Like it's even like ADA Link. We're not going to chart all of that. Like Shiba, Chainlink, ADA, Jasmy, like everything. Like everything looks bullish. So I'm not. Yeah, I'm just going to let them do their thing.
Yeah.
I guess we were done talking about crypto-ish.
Yeah, I mean, we could go into. I see some requests from miners down there too. One thing I wanted to do, if we want to switch to miners, do we?
Yeah, why not? Go for it. I want to see what you're saying. I want to see what you're seeing. Yeah.
So WGMI, this is actually, let me go to this WGMI chart right here. And I put this on X, and I wanted to show that it's extremely bullish. And it only got rejected because it was the previous all-time high, right? That's really the only reason why I got rejected up there. But all it's doing right now is in the process of doing a back test. So how deep is this back test going to go? Maybe it can go to the ARC, maybe 25.50. But I guess it all depends on Bitcoin. Or maybe this week will just turn into a wick and it's going to close back above the ARC again, around 29.50. Or maybe even back above the previous all-time highs at 30.51. So this this chart is, in my opinion, really, really bullish. And I think what I'm really focused on is also the Ichimoku down there. It does line up perfectly with that bottom arc. So I'm curious if it does need to go down there or just wait for enough time to pass before the weekly conversion line goes up. But to me, none of this matters. Whether it's 27 or 25 or a little bit lower, this is all the same zone for me. And it's just building a base at this higher level, which was like a previous resistance right here, trying to flip it to support and eventually go higher. I can just basically draw a line right here and we can visualize that, right? We can just take everything else off and you can see exactly it's a previous resistance flipping to support. So it doesn't matter how deep this goes. This is building a base at a previous resistance level and this will go higher. So very bullish chart. I don't know why people are so afraid of miners right now, but this chart is really telling a very bullish story.
Well, they're only really bearish on miners because Bitcoin is looking so bullish and the miners didn't follow and Bitcoin could correct and everybody's worried that miners just gonna take a dump because they keep diluting. That's what the narrative is, right? So I think a lot of people forget how bullish miners have been really over like ever since the late 2022 bottom. like it's just been like a pretty incredible run for a lot of these. Like CleanSpark made almost like a more than like a 10x, almost like a 12, 13x or something like that, just in the matter of like a year, like 15 months or something like that, you know?
Yeah.
So I think a lot of people are kind of like, you know, upset. And Bitcoin, how far did Bitcoin go? It went from 15,000 to maybe like 100,000. Like it made what, like a 7x. So, so I think they're all going to just kind of fall in their own technicals. And I think people are just kind of upset that it's not following what their expectations are. So,
yeah, I can get that. It's frustration, that's for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think like a lot of times if you just look at like IREN, you look at WULF, like they've made significant gains for a lot of people. Even CIFR made a lot of gains for a lot of people too. CleanSpark, it made a lot of gains for a lot of people if they bought like in the single digits here and it went all the way up to like $25. You would have made a lot of money if you end up doing that, right? So I drew this scan here on the weekly. I'm just going to show it here real quick. The reason why is because there's a lot of energy that's being built up. Energy number one is that it really went from this arc up here to this arc up here at the very peak, right? And it got rejected almost perfectly here. This arc came back down, back test the arc underneath below. So this arc is going to be resistance. 0.786 was also resistance here. And you know, if you're breaking above the 0.786, you're breaking above this arc. And also if you're breaking above the monthly Ichimoku cloud over here for CleanSpark, like the sky's really the limit. It's just building up a lot of energy right now, and the very fact that it actually came back down and grabbed liquidity actually make me feel more bullish about this chart. I don't know. I think you probably feel the same thing, but it's just needed to make that move down to really grab liquidity. And right now we did, and that actually the fact that it came back down to like the 0.5 fib and also came back down and back tested 0.618 fib. All these things are actually very bullish development. If you don't use any indicators, all it's really doing is just basically going from like one fib level, back tested another. They're basically making like 3 steps forward, 2 steps back kind of thing. And right now here, like 3 steps forward is making 2 steps back. So right now is kind of building up a lot of energy, trying to advance. I'm not really scared. There's a lot more volume coming in here on this uptrend over here. And also a lot of people are scared about what's been going on over the last few days. Why is Bitcoin, you know, not doing much, but why are miners like pulling off these crazy, like, you know, negative 8%, 9%, 10% days, which are nothing, by the way, but it's on declining volume here too. Like over here is kind of going down, declining volume. Like over here is kind of going down and declining volume. Ultimately, I think these moves are meaningless. And it doesn't really matter. Like if you're looking at the greater picture, this is a bull trend and volume is starting to pick up. So it's building up a lot of energy, is trying to push through a lot of the resistance that we've been spending the entire year of 2024 trying to push through. And this is entirely healthy after CleanSpark had made a move all the way from like what, like $1.70 all the way to $25. Like this is a healthy correction that's needed. I don't think the cycle is over, and a lot of people forget how crazy outperformance CleanSpark has had, and which is what everybody's, you know, getting frustrated about because they expect the same thing to happen and it's not happening. Same things with Mara, right? A lot of people forget that it went from $3 all the way to like $34, right? And a lot of people forget that this move was happening when Bitcoin basically just only made like maybe like a 4 or 5x, and Mara made like a 10x, you know. So right now you have the appropriate correction over here, and Bitcoin is making this like higher, whereas Mara is just building a lot of energy trying to break about this range. They all follow their own technicals. There's really nothing like, you know, upsetting about it. It did end up not closing yet, but it did end up having on the second day of the week a little bit below 0.618, which is fine. Like it could break down below, even if it closes the week underneath below just 1 week. The volume so far in the daily has been absolutely pathetic, you know. So like to me, a lot of these moves are kind of a little bit meaningless. I just think that it's building up a lot of energy, trying to break above this range and go higher. And if you think that Bitcoin is going to make another leg up, I think Mara would probably follow. It just needs to break above the 0.786. So every single miner has their own demons that it needs to break above. For Mara is also the Ichimoku cloud. You know, that's also something it needs to break above. But is there a break above the 0.786, which is also the top Ichimoku cloud here on the monthly, then you're talking about sky's the limit. Like I honestly feel that if it's able to break about $41, then you're talking about like $181 is possible, right? But it could also end the cycle here at $41. I think that's also a possibility. If for whatever reason, if it's just like craps the bed, it doesn't push through this level, kind of like what XRP did last cycle for whatever reason, then that could be the cycle top, right? But if it breaks above here, then I think a lot of higher targets is entirely possible. So that's kind of how I feel about it. Bitfarm is also kind of battling his own demon. I think Bitfarm is unfortunately it's just a big laggard, and then what it's been spending the entire year in 2024 is to try and break out this arc over here. It just hasn't really been able to do that, and but it's building up a lot of energy trying to do it, and the volume over the last few weeks has been picking up like crazy, you know. So I think it's building up something big here. It just hasn't happened yet. CIFR is also fighting its own demon. What is fighting the demon right now is fighting the 0.786 demon. It's spent like weeks number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 trying to break above it, and it's not able to. But you know, you also have a little bit of a GAN line over here, which is a pretty, you know, decent zone over here from like resistance over here, resistance over here. It's stuck in a range right now, and it's building up a lot of energy. It's trying to break through the 0.786. It just hasn't been able to do that. But once it does, I think it's going to go up a lot faster. It's going to get into like double digit zone pretty quickly. IREN is already a bullish chart. Like I don't know if anybody's like bearish about this. I don't know what they're smoking, right?
Yeah.
If you're bearish, it's probably because you bought here in the teens and you suffer through this cup over here. But looking at the overall, like if you were bought anywhere before that, you would have been in profit. And right now it's battling the 0.786 still, like it did over here. It was battling here again. And right now you also have a little bit of arc resistance over here too, right? But once you're able to break through the zone, man, like sky's the limit, you know. I just don't know. Like WULF is the same thing. You're also trying in the WULF case of WULF is trying to break about the 0.618, which is its demon. If it's able to break through that, then you can talk about double-digit WULFs in a hurry, like the 0.786 around $17. And if you break that, then even higher targets can be met, right? But they're just lagging behind Bitcoin because they're following their own technicals. And a lot of people forget, like WULF was what, like 52 cents, and it made all the way up to like $8 or like, you know, $9, right? So you're talking about like miners underperforming. I don't know what the hell you're talking about.
Yeah.
I have no idea what the hell you're talking about. I think it matters when you buy, it matters what your mindset is, it matters what your expectations are. There's no guarantee that it's going to outperform, but I think it probably will outperform Bitcoin by the end of the cycle. But yeah, those are just my thoughts. A lot of people are like, oh, look at the last 12 months, it's underperformed Bitcoin. Well, the cycle doesn't begin and doesn't end within 12 months. So what the hell are we talking about here? Anyway, I'm done talking about miners, man. Take over, Meow.
Meow. Yeah, I think I'm not going to go over all of them like you, but I think the theme of everything is like with the CLSK chart, it's just trying to flip previous resistance levels, right? You don't even need a GAN. You can just use a line right here. You can just take off again, and you can just see it's trying to flip a previous resistance level back to a support. And that's it. That's all it's doing. And not only that, like the past month, I should say, the trend has been, it has been opening high, wicking low, and closing the week strong. So if this is anything like the past 3 or 4 weeks, then yeah, it opened high, it's wicking below, and it has the potential now to close the week strong. So that's what I'm really focused on with the miners, that they're all opening strong on Monday, then they're selling off on Tuesday, Wednesday, and then Thursday, Friday, they're getting their strength back. So that to me just means that they're really all just building a base at a higher level, trying to break their resistance above. That's it. That's all they're doing. Very, very bullish. And you just got to have patience in this game to make the money.
Way to go, Meow.
Meow, 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 meow.
I'll probably have to leave the show because we've already arrived at where we're coming to. We're in Chicago, in Lincoln Park, but they need me to do a bunch of stuff to help people out here. But let me just say, we are entering what I believe is going to be a golden age of abundance ahead of us. Artificial intelligence, just like when we had the personal computer back in the 80s and into the 90s, and you could just greatly increase productivity for each worker. Artificial intelligence is going to do that again, even greater. I think it could really make a lot of people into creators. We'll have these humanoid robots that are piloted autonomously by artificial intelligence as well. You can train any robot to do a specific task, and suddenly all the robots know how to do that task everywhere on the planet simultaneously. And so, we'll have 4, 5, 6 autonomous robots for every human on the planet Earth, and even more in space. And it'll be a golden age of abundance ahead of us, where money won't matter and we can basically have anything we want. So in the meantime, we'll try to get what we can before that happens, because it may not happen exactly. Maybe it won't complete in my lifetime, but we're getting close. It's coming closer every day. That's all I wanted to say about that.
Yeah, Trekker is a friend of humanity.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for the last words before you die. And
can you take us out with a oh no?
Oh no! I'll talk to you guys later. I'm doing a show with you tomorrow morning, Matt.
All right,
I'll see you there. All right.
Later, man.
Have a good show, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. The show's continuing on without me. I'm just going to do this thing here. Bye. Oh no!
What happened?
What's going on? Well, now that he's gone, let's talk about Tesla. All right.
We can, but do you want to finish the talk? I think somebody asked about Coinbase and MSTR, and then I guess we can move on. Yeah.
So Coin, and I don't really need to do ConL. It's just a derivative of Coinbase. So, but this is what Coin is doing. Actually, I'll do ConL too. Why not? Just briefly though. If you don't even look at the fibs, you can see something very clearly with this chart. And that is from the all-time high to the low, it is actually continuously making higher highs and higher lows. And this is a break of structure, right? From this wick to that, all these candles over here, it is a higher high and it's not even attempting to go lower. This is literally the definition of a break of structure and building a base at a higher level, waiting to go higher. And it's staying on top of the arc. It's been drifting on top of the arc for a while. And then if we put the fibs back on here, we can see that all it's doing right now is wicking through the 886, the 318.95. And we can see that it still has potential to close back above on Friday. Could just turn into a wick, just like the miners. They open up high on Monday, go down during the week, and then close out strong, right? We could see that happen with Coinbase. And if I switch to the linear scale fib, what did it do? It's just trying to hold that 310.94, right? So this is a previous resistance. You can see these 3 weekly candles in a row could never close above it. But now, starting last week, it did close above, and this has the potential to just be a wick and close above that 310.94 as well. So super bullish for Coinbase. Don't care about the day-to-day stuff. In fact, if it does go back down to the low 290s or so, I think that's an amazing opportunity. But not sure if it will. It's been trying to go lower, but it just can't. It just can't go lower. And with ConL, just real quickly, I wanted to just point out the log-based fib extension right here. From the like when it started, the ETF when it started, and to the bottom, you can see it's the 1.414. 5 weekly candles in a row have been spending its time on top of the 52.78. And back before, on the downtrend, it spent more time below it than on top of it. And now it's the reverse. It's spending more time on top than it is below. So what does this mean, guys? This is building a base for something pretty amazing, I think, in the future. So for those of you that worry about the day-to-day price action, you're probably going to miss out on the 100s, maybe the 130s, maybe the 140s, right? You're probably going to miss out on that before ConL, because I think that is coming, and that's what I'm holding for.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty nice looking chart. I have two more things to add to it. It's going to be pretty quick. One thing is if you just follow the volume, and I think volume matters a lot because it tells you what the big money is really doing. You can see that on the way up throughout the entire year, like 2023, where you have a very nice parabolic bull trend going up, right? Initially, it was started up with a lot of volume kind of coming in, a lot of stock being traded hands here during this inverted head and shoulder, and a lot of volume is really kind of pushing up, right? And whenever it was kind of going down, the volume was kind of going down. Whenever you have this big leg up, it was pushing up. And then ever since then, towards like the second half of 2023, it kind of just melted way up on kind of like a little bit of increasing volume, but the volume is just not as impressive, right? So you can see that the entire thing was kind of getting a little bit more exhausted over here towards the end, and they just needed to cool down. And as it cooled down, the volume completely disappeared. Like it's just completely plummeted during this downtrend. And what's happening right now is you have some pretty important volume that's being picked up right now. So I feel like we might be at the beginning of something that seems very bullish moving forward, kind of like how it was over here. That's kind of what I'm seeing. And I think it's the same thing that's just kind of happening between here and here, based on the volume signature. The only other thing that I want to add on top of that is right now we're trying to battle, like you said, we don't need any like fit levels or anything. Like we're just trying to battle this high over here. And right now it's stuck in a range. The bottom of the range is really these resistance levels over here, right? And the top of the range is really this resistance level over here. So because price has spent so long over here for like 6 months, I think we just need to kind of spend a little bit longer time trying to figure out its technicals. And I think it's probably spent enough time. I think it's probably ready to kind of run up pretty soon. But it's not surprising as to why price is getting stuck here. I guess is what I'm trying to say. But because of volume, I think it's probably going to end up pushing up, pretty soon. So that's all I have about Coinbase. Meow.
Do you have anything about Con-L? I mean, obviously, if Coinbase goes up, Con-L is going to go up too. So
yeah, I mean, like you can see the same thing on the volume, right? When you have just kind of like sideways, like blah, the next thing you know, this lick up over here, there's a lot of volume there coming. So I still think like big money. Actually, I think that some institution probably play Coin-L as well. To be honest, I think some hedge funds probably do that too. And there's just a lot of volume that has just happened on the uptrend. So I think something big is probably going to happen soon. I don't know. It could be like plummeting down. That could be I doubt it though. I mean, I'm positioned in a way that's going to go up.
yeah, I'm positioned too. I mean, nothing about the Coinbase chart looks bearish, and it's maintaining a very, very solid base, and it hasn't gotten back to all-time highs yet. So it's just like the majority of altcoins, right? The majority of altcoins have not gotten to all-time highs either, and they're at similar retrace levels. Some are even, our altcoins are even lower than Coinbase, really. So I just think it's a matter of time.
Yeah, and I think if you're not sure about what altcoins to get to, or you don't have like a platform to get into, and you want some altcoin exposure, not financial advice, I think Coinbase is probably going to be a pretty good option for you to consider. MSTR is just stuck in a range. I mean, I was basically calling like the 1.618 as a resistance level, 1.414 as a support level. Kind of play out exactly how we thought that was going to play out. It's just kind of basically stuck in a range ever since then, and it was kind of way outside the upper bullish band here on the weekly, so it's just kind of cooling off sideways. On the monthly, it's still a little bit way outside the upper bullish band here. So I mean, I'm not surprised it's cooling off where it is right now. It's still a bullish chart. The lower bullish band is still kind of expanding to the downside. So there's no reason to think that like a strategy is going to end as bull run. But I do think that it's starting to show a little bit of sign of exhaustion, as opposed to Coinbase, which I don't think is really showing any sign of exhaustion at all right now. But MicroStrategy is showing some signs of exhaustion. What I mean by that is price kind of went up higher, but the RSI is like kind of just stay about the same. So you're starting to get to the point where you're not necessarily going to make this crazy move of like 10x like it did before anymore. You might continue to make another like 3 or 5x or something like that, which is still a pretty substantial gain. But I think that the crazy parabolic, bull trend is starting to get a little bit exhausted here. I'm starting to see a little bit of signs for that. Whereas Coinbase, like it's not even really showing any real sign of exhaustion. Like the Bollinger Band is just now starting to expand. and like the RSI right now is only like 65. So the MSTR has been up in like the 70s and 80s. I know like Matt doesn't really care about RSI. I don't really care about RSI either. Things they stay overbought for a long time. But the only thing I do find helpful is whether or not there's any like signs of exhaustion. And I think MSTR does have a little bit, but it's probably going to keep going up higher. It's just not going to make these crazy moves like it did before. So that's kind of my thought. So,
yeah.
Meow.
I concur. There's really nothing for me to add for MSTR. Yeah, nothing at all.
Okay, cool. All right, so if that's the case, you want to talk about Tesla?
Ooh, Tesla. Yeah. All right, let me go to my Tesla chart, and I'm going to steal your Bollinger Band thing. I've been talking about it on the morning show, so I'm going to stick with it. But yeah, it's been riding the weekly Bollinger Band up as support week over week, and this is no different for Tesla. So 391.85 is the top of that Bollinger Band, and we can see that it's showing no signs of slowing down right now. So where is it going to go next? I think all-time highs, right? And we already saw a perfect back test of the 886, 780 or 378.85, and it got down to 378.01. So that was a perfect back test. And not only that, last week was the highest weekly candle close since the all-time high. There's been 0 weekly candles closing that high since just now. Like all these wicks, nope, they didn't close above it. Just the all-time high was the only other candle that was in the way. So what does that really mean? Well, I think it's going to be all-time high sooner than later. And then where does it go to next after that? Well, it could go to 500, right? Straight up to the 1.272 after that. So it is in a resistance zone, though. We can see these wicks up here. It was some selling pressure before, and it is getting rejected with a wick again. It went up to, 409 today, and it kind of sold off a little bit, right? So it is getting into this resistance zone. So will it break through in one fell swoop? I'm not sure. Perhaps it might need to retest levels a little bit lower first before breaking through. But either way, this is the most bullish chart this has been since 2021. It's basically the same as XRP, really. Yeah.
I like how conservative you are by using a linear fib.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying, like a possible next resistance. Like if I use the log, then yeah, it's going to go up to 600 next, but there's going to be resistance along the way. It's probably going to stop at 500, right? And so that's where the linear comes in handy.
Fair. Yeah, fair. Yeah, so I think like honestly, the levels are pretty simple, like 500, 600, 700. That's kind of what I'm seeing.
Yeah. Just round numbers. If you want to take profit at the round numbers, then you have our blessing. Yeah.
Yeah. If it breaks 400 and close above 400, 500, 600, 700. Yeah, but it's a pretty bullish chart. I have nothing else to add. It's been extremely boring. I don't want to talk about Tesla. Let's move on.
Yeah. It's way too the upward momentum is just so boring. It's just like expected now. Like if there's a day where it goes down 1%, people are going to panic,
Yeah, and I don't see any reason. Like I was just looking, like why were people panicking back in like October or November? It makes no sense to me at all whatsoever. But anyway,
no,
yeah,
me either.
Yeah,
but that's human psychology in trading, right?
Well, yeah, thank goodness I'm not human, so that's
that is true. You got that working for you.
but yeah, what other charts do you want to talk about? I mean, I suppose we can talk about Palantir, but or other chart requests, whatever you want to do.
Yeah, there's Palantir, there's SOFI. I can do Palantir real quick, but Palantir is also boring.
Yeah.
So I was never going to use the linear scale fibs ever again for Palantir, but then it just had to get rejected by the 7813. So now I have to switch back to a cat. This is killing me. So there we go. Your support 6915. So all it is doing a back test right now. Whether or not it needs to go there, still undecided, but it's just a very, very, very explosive move. So give it time to cool off. That's all. Very bullish. So 6915, that's my next support level. And then it could just build a base on there for some time for its next leg higher. Or this could just turn into a wick this week and close back above 7813. That's also a possibility as well. So we'll see. We'll see on Friday which direction it wants to go.
I think the lowest possible that would go would be to the monthly upper Bollinger Band to kind of touch it a little bit with a wick, which is $58.56. I think that's probably like the lowest that it would go.
That is bearish.
Yeah, I know, and that's a lot lower. I don't think Danny would like hearing that, but I don't think it has to. Like, to be completely honest, because I was looking at this big giant parabolic bull trend. I always like to compare something that looks like this to what happened in Bitcoin from like 2015, 2017, because the morphology looks really similar. But even then, like, you can see, like, even if it's like big giant parabolic bull trend, you can still have like a candle like this where it's just like way outside the up Bollinger Band, and then the next month can end up being like extremely crazy wick down here below graph liquidity. It's still entirely possible. I think these plus or minus 20% moves to kind of grab liquidity can still happen in Palantir. The only thing that's different between Palantir and Bitcoin is that I think people are going to want to buy the dip here for Palantir. I mean, I don't know if it goes down here that low to like 58. Like, there must be some kind of strong manipulation. It's going to get bought up in a hurry. So I don't know. I'm not worried. Be prepared for any crazy volatility that it can bring, but I'm not worried about the bull trend because it's just so strong right now with the low Bollinger Band continue to expand to the negatives. The valuation is crazy. You're going to keep hearing that, but a lot of times is that during a bull market, it's because there's increased flushing liquidity in the system. You're going to actually have like companies that are going to grow like crazy, and a lot of the companies that grow up crazy, they're buying to whole like AI narratives, and they're going to want like Palantir products, and their numbers are going to look pretty exponential over the next few months, just because this is the part of the cycle where the technicals are showing that the fundamentals probably going to be pretty explosive. So,
well, people are already asking that in the chat about Tesla too, about how long can it trade above 100 PE for Tesla, and is there a mean reversion coming? I mean, the charts are saying the story first, in my opinion, and then the PE will catch up later. So
yeah, I mean, like, a lot of people are saying, oh, Tesla's is pricing in, like Elon Musk going to the moon or whatever. But the truth is this, if they really got the autonomous, I don't want to talk about fundamentals anyway. Like, but if you really have like the autonomous vehicle thing going, if they really have the robotaxi going, I think a lot of people underestimate the economic impact that it might have. It's just it would be like an absolute shocker, and I think that it could stay about 100 PE for like a very long time.
Yeah, and people that just focus on the current PE is like, it's like having blinders on. You're not seeing what's developing in front of your face. So I think focusing on PE is probably the worst thing you can do as a trader, because it just doesn't make sense at current levels because you don't know the future. But there are some people that do.
Yeah, like
they know inside information, and then they know what's going on, and you got to follow that smart money.
If you're picking a spouse, you're not going to say, oh, I don't want to be with somebody who's a college student forever. Well, they're not going to be a college student forever. I hope. Eventually, you're going to go out there and get a job. Eventually, you're going to go out there and and they could be spending a lot more money right now than they can afford on their credit cards. But because they're college students, they're going to go out there and get jobs. They're going to be okay. Like, don't focus on the moment. You're not marrying a college student. You're finding a person that has the capability of growing.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's like it baffles me in terms of thinking about that kind of stuff. But yeah, my analogies are back, Matt.
your jet lag is wearing off. Nice.
I think the black tea is working. But anyway, okay. So what else do you want to talk about? SOFI? I mean, I don't have much.
Yeah.
SOFI,
Put up that
really.
SOFI
It's
chart
another
right there.
SOFI
is so good.
SOFI, yeah. What's going on with SOFI? Well, SOFI is basically showing the same thing, a little bit overextended about the monthly Bollinger Band, but it's a very bullish chart. There's really nothing to really talk more about. The thing about SOFI is a lot of people are worried. Should you secure profits right here because things have just kind of went way too far, way too fast. If you believe in elite wave, you think this is wave 1, this is wave 2, wave 3 is just kind of starting, and it can keep going up for a very long time. We are hitting some resistance levels here, though, because if you're talking about, like, I do have again here on log scale 360.0105. This worked out pretty well for me, so I'm going to stick with it. The thing is, it's over here, like, it kind of got rejected here at the arc, and it finally broke through it, and it just went up to the next arc, and it's basically backtesting the arc over here. So I think you are having some resistance levels up here, but you're also backtesting some support zone down here. So I'm not really that worried about it. The only thing is on the weekly Bollinger Band, it does look like the lower Bollinger Band is starting to kind of curl there a little bit. So there might be a little bit of sign that might be a start of a little bit of exhaustion here, which is fine. Like, we're not saying exhaustion. I'm not saying it has to retrace back to the mean, go back to like $10, $11. All I'm saying is that what happened last time when you have something like this, right? What I'm talking about is maybe like something like this, where you might end up just keep on kind of cooling off here a little bit for a few weeks and then push up higher and make another higher high, maybe to like $19 or $20. And then you might have like a lot stronger cool down, because we did have a lot of price history up here. So we are starting to get entering a zone where we might need to kind of work through these technicals over here before pushing up higher, right? I totally see that, but I don't think it has to come back down to like 10, 11 bucks. I think that it has enough juice to go up to 19, 20, and that might be a good profit taking zone. But even then, I think that this whole base over here has been building up for so long that if you're looking at a higher time frame, if your horizon is like 1 year, 2 year, 3 years, it really doesn't matter. Like, it really is just probably a start of something that's beautiful. It probably is just going to keep going on for a lot higher over time. And I still think that probably going to hit like, if you talk about that longer time. Anyway, you're talking about a long time frame. I think it can hit like 50 or 60 in like 3 to 5 years. To me, that's kind of what I'm looking at. And I did a video about it and try to justify for all that. You guys want to talk about that. I just do a search. It's there. Matt, Mel.
Matt, meow. Meow, meow. Yeah, so if I'm looking at the daily chart and I'm seeing daily rejections of the 1606. So we lost that support, right? Just 1, 2, 3, and even today it wicked up above it and closed much lower. So the possibility to come back to the 618 is there. It really is there. 1369, that is the possibility to retest that zone. I'm not saying that it has to, but the possibility now, since it's getting rejected at resistance, is there. So a little bit of caution warranted. But again, when you look at the weekly chart, yeah, it's just a meteoric rise, just straight up and getting rejected. So if it came down here, it would look like nothing on the high time frame. It would look like nothing. So just expect for a little bit of cooling off for SOFI, I think, until it can get weekly candles back above 1606. So that's all I have.
Cool.
Yeah.
What do you see on GME, man?
GME, man?
Yeah, GME, man. Yeah, they just had earnings today, so and the price did nothing after hours.
Yeah, speaking of XRP, it's at no. I like to relate everything to XRP. GameStop 4-hour chart, it told the story. Like, it went right up there to the blue angle again. I've been talking about this since November. This blue angle, how it can't really get above it at all. Let me just zoom out so you guys can see my 4-hour chart here. And you can see how each angle held as like a support before, then a resistance. And this blue angle used to be a support until it broke back here in September. And then it's been a resistance ever since. And so the earnings, no matter what, it just hit resistance and came back to exactly where it was. So it's just not ready yet. And what does that mean? Does it need to come back down to the orange angle at $24? That could be a possibility, but all I see is just stuck in a range. That's it, just stuck in a range, and it can't do anything until it breaks. Now it's around 30.80. When I first started talking about it, it was around $29, right? Back then. Now it needs to break above like 30.75, 30.80 really to get going. So since this is upward sloping as time goes on, the resistance level is going to be increasing. And if it takes until like the end of the month, then it's going to has to get above like $32, right? So we'll see what happens. So it's just stuck in a range, and no matter what, I don't really care what happens until it gets above this blue angle.
Fair.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. If you want to flip over to me real quick, I'm gonna basically show a little bit of a confluence here. So The one thing that is bullish about the GME chart is on the weekly chart here, there is a bullish cross of the conversion interface. And you also have price last week basically just packed. Actually, it's kind of interesting. It actually kind of back tested the conversion base right there in the confluent zone right there. And it bounced form of doji. So this is actually bullish from that perspective because you are flipping a resistance zone from over here with the conversion, and also you're able to reclaim on the weekly time frame of the baseline here, and you flip all of these from resistance to support. So generally that's a positive development right there. The other thing though is that the other thing that's kind of working against it is if you do a little bit of a fit level within this time frame over here using let's say if you use like that top right there and the bottom right there within these 2 weeks, you can see that it's trying to break above the 0.382 Fibonacci level around $29, and it's just having a hard time doing it. So until it breaks about the 0.382, and it got rejected over here too, right? And until you really break above that area, you're probably still going to get stuck in a range, which is fine. Like I actually prefer getting stuck in a range because I still think that it's building up a lot of energy to go up higher. It's really looking on a higher time frame. It's really looking very, very nice in the sense that the volume has been starting to kind of pick up here on this uptrend, right? And the other thing too, if you look at a higher time frame, I actually love the way that the bullish band is looking right now, where it's just claimed the 20 moving average from resistance to support. And right now it's positive sloping. Right now you're starting to get a little bit of a bullish band expansion, which is why you're saying it's not ready, because the bullish band is not really fully expanded yet. Why did we get rejected over here? Is because bullish band is like, very strong resistance here, right? So, but right now you're starting to get a little bit of a bullish band expansion here. So I think through time, maybe over the next few months or so, you can have the bullish band continue to expand depending on how impulsive price action is. This is a development of bull trend, higher high here compared to here, and higher low here compared to here, right? This is a bull trend, and the technicals are also showing you that as well. And you also got a lot of wicks over here down below, so I don't think it's going to go back down to like 18, 19 or anything like that. Could it back test like the 24, 25 zone over here? Certainly possible, but I just see like our higher time frame. If that's the case, like anywhere around like the 24, 25, it would be like an amazing accumulation zone for me. If it goes lower, great, that's fine too. But it's a bull trend on a higher time frame. It's a bull trend on a lower time frame. So I'm not that scared about it. If you're into Danny's indicators, which is the MCDX plus, you can see that on the weekly there's no retail at all. There continues to have no retail despite the fact that these two days for the week has been a little bit bearish, but there's still like absolutely no retail here at all, right? So if you're into indicators like that, this is great. If you look at the daily too, daily, it's been like what happened over since May of 2024, that spike over here, basically it's been retail dominant the entire time, and wells have exited until recently. Like you have basically a shift of momentum that's happened over the last 2 months. So I feel that at this stage, price hasn't pumped yet, but with the Welsh momentum happening on the daily and weekly, and also the fact that it's becoming more and more of a bull trend, I think this probably is just a beginning. So I feel like I just want to keep accumulating along, as long as it's less than $30. I think it's a good zone to accumulate for me. So that's my thought on GM email. I'm talking alone. There's no one on the other side. Okay, there you are. Oh no!
Oh no! All right.
Yeah.
What else is on the agenda here? I guess we can do more requests.
There's a lot of requests. I mean, we're starting to get to the point where we're just like, I don't know. We can talk about. Let's spend another 15 minutes, and then I'll probably just go.
Yeah, no, that sounds good. That sounds good to me.
Yeah. Let's have a great debate about SMCI, shall we?
Ooh, SMCI. Yeah, go ahead. You start. Go.
I think it's bearish.
Yeah, I didn't like today's close.
I think it's bearish on a higher time frame because I talked about the possibility that even if it finds support down here below somewhere, it did find support down here below somewhere. Like I guess it's finding support here at the horizontal zone over here with a big giant wick underneath below. But the fact that it's like convincingly broke underneath the 20-month moving average, and I believe the 20-month moving average as like almost like a cycle indicator for me, because it's just like the perfect time frame, and it usually tells a pretty good story in terms of like the cycle. Whenever it breaks below the 20-month moving average, and whenever the 20-month moving average goes from like really upward sloping like this, and it's starting to turn flat and starting to become resistance, that really tells me row, like that's not a good thing to have, right? And that tells me whatever you're getting back to the 20-month moving average, you're probably going to end up having it as resistance. And I was talking about this when, like, even a couple months ago. So I think like a lot of people on your Patreon, they're like, oh, I sold it at the 20s. And I'm like, yeah, that probably is not a good area to sell, or at least wait for it to retrace back to the mean to maybe like the mid 40s, right? Which is exactly what happened. And then people are starting to get bullish on it again. So I'm just like, this is like an area to exit, and that certainly seems to be the case. So I'm worried about that. And also the other thing that I also don't like about the chart is the fact that it had a bearish cross over here on the Tenkan Nikkei, and it's just way underneath a lot of the resistance levels up here. About, let's say if it pushes through above the 20-month moving average, if it gets up to like 60s, you're still going to get a lot of really strong resistance zone up there. Last time you had a bearish cross, things just kind of went down for like 3 years straight, right? And you also, I'm going to go back to the 20-month moving average. Last time when you have price really convincingly broke underneath the 20-month moving average, it was not good. Like over here, it broke down underneath, back tested, kind of had a little bit of a false breakout above, but it didn't really hold, right? It went down straight for 3 years. So I'm just saying, I'm not getting into it. Don't let me stop you from making money, but I'm bearish on it. So. No.
Boo.
Yeah, I'm bearish. I get bearish. I'm not always bullish. I'm telling you, I'm not always bullish.
That's it. I'm gonna have to disagree with you now.
Oh man,
it.
okay.
No more echo chamber. The gloves are off. Come on, Cat.
All right, man. You get bullish on me. Go for it.
We're fighting now. So I'm not bullish per se, but I think it has a chance. And the chance is this angle held perfectly. All that liquidity grab was just a back test of this major 45-degree angle, which was a support and resistance zone in the past. Super important zone. So it just hit that, right? And now what we see is a recovery back above the arc. So this arc has potential to hold and continue to just build a base on top of it until it's really ready to go higher. It has that potential. But there's one caveat that I want to point out, and that is the 100-week moving average is still kind of acting as a resistance. And if it cannot close weekly candles back above it, then I think maybe this support won't hold. Right. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But 42.79 is really my target. But I don't think it's all doom and gloom yet until there's more weekly candles that close back below this arc. So this is my line in the sand. If this arc holds as support, then this is fine. This can just keep going down the arc for whatever amount of time it needs until it's ready to get bullish, because this was just an obvious V-bottom liquidity grab. It's meaningless if it just stays on top of this arc. So that's what I'm really focused on here. And if it starts to close weekly candles and flip it to resistance, then I think it's all over for SMCI. But if this current level is like around $36, then in the future it could be like 35, 34, whatever. But if this continues to hold week over week, then it has a chance. It has a chance to become more bullish in the future. But the first thing is getting back above that 100-week moving average first. So.
Yeah, I don't like it when things broke down and flip things from support to resistance. Like it's just not a good look. But I'm wrong all the time. So don't don't let me stop you from making money from SMCI. Like honestly, I could be wrong.
I mean,
about this.
I think there's better charts out there personally, because this still doesn't really have all its momentum back at all. It's starting to look better, but it's not out of the woods yet. It's not.
Yeah, I think that's fair. What else you want to talk about? Another 10 minutes.
AMD, that's another one people are worried about.
Sure. Yeah,
AMD.
Don't worry about it.
What's that?
But don't worry about it.
Yeah. How about you guys? You just don't worry about it, huh? Just stop it. Stop that.
Yeah, seriously, stop it. Don't worry about it.
So let me just take off everything really quick.
Oh man, not again. I don't want to.
And I'm not talking about my computer stuff. Yeah.
Everything.
Everything.
I prefer socks on, at least. Anyway, please.
Fair enough.
Continue.
So all I see right now is a back test of a previous previous high, a previous resistance zone in the past, right? That's all I see so far is a breakout, back test. And I don't need the fibs to see that. I don't need any GAN to see that. I can see that it's really trying to hold a level, and it's really trying to just find its next higher low from here. And this low was 121. So as long as it stays above that higher low, I think it can be fine, because this support zone could be a little bit deeper, maybe down to 125, maybe down to 123 or so. So with that said, now it's time to put back on the GAN here and the fibs. And I think the goal is to just stay above this 786. And this is the 786 from the 2021 high and the low down here in 2022. So if this can stay above that 786 and just be a wick and close back above, then I think this can be a lot more bullish a lot sooner. So this 129.88 is the goal to close on Friday above. Just keep building a base on top of that, and then slowly but surely it can get more and more bullish. So I'm not too worried about it, and I think it has potential to be fine. It's just in a short-term downtrend, and I think that could be coming to an end as long as these levels hold, especially this zone here from current price down to the low 120s.
Fair. I just want to show a couple things. It's gonna be pretty quick.
What say you?
I say this. I'm gonna look at the fib level, not so much from like the recent area, but kind of zoom out here and going back to like the 2000, I guess the whatever .com bubble, whatever you call it. And I do like
confluence. I see confluence. I see it.
Yeah, there's a lot of confluence here. Like instead of looking at those levels that you're looking at, if you do it this way, then you see that it's kind of stuck. Like over here, it just got rejected at 1.414, which is a pretty important fib level. And it also bounced over here in August at the 1.272, right? And it's just stuck in a range right now. It's forming a bull flag. You know why I know it's a bull flag? Because there's no volume. Like there's absolutely, the volume is just completely plummeted. Now, this is never an absolute thing, but I generally favor this being a bull flag and having bullish continuation whenever you have like an upturn increased volume and you have a downtrend on like declining volume. And so far volume is just completely plummeted, right? I can show you some signs. So like here, you have like a little bit of declining volume over here too. And then here during this bull flag, you have a little bit of declining volume over here too. And over here, when you have a bull flag, you have a declining volume over here too, right? So guess what didn't have a declining volume was when this over here, you would thought that it looked like a bull flag, but it was actually happening on increasing selling volume, right? So it's just some clues to tell me that I think this is just a consolidation between two very important fib levels, and it's backtesting a zone over here and is forming a higher low. So there's really no need to worry. And also on top of that, this whole downtrend over here is kind of non-committal. It's been extremely brutal for people who have been in AMD, because if you imagine you bought in February, it's done nothing but going down the entire year. So that's what I'm saying. Like you're talking about like, oh, the 12-month price action is horrible. Well, what about the 12 month before that? Like it looked incredibly bullish before that, right?
Yeah, it's cooling down.
Yeah, it's cooling down. So like it's cooling down on declining volume and stuck between two very important fib levels. Don't worry about it. That
So it already hit that one wick, went down to 122 already, right? Yeah. It's not necessary to go down there again. It could just stop short a little bit, but even if it did, that's just another perfect back test. Yeah. So you're saying you're not bearish on it.
I'm not bearish on it. I think I say don't worry about it. I think it's forming higher highs and higher lows, and the entire bull flag over here is on declining volume. Don't worry about it. I think the lower it goes, the better risk reward ratio there is. I don't know. It could wick
Yeah,
down
for
below
sure.
it. I don't care, but the volume is basically telling me don't worry about it. So
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah, you just gotta stick it out, ride it out, and it'll be good to go eventually.
When's IWM going to break out, man?
Is that gonna be our last one? IWM, yeah, why not?
I guess we can
Yeah.
do that in hymns, and we'll end the show.
Yeah, you want to do hymns, don't you?
And hers. And everybody.
But emphasis on the hymns.
I don't know, man. I mean, like, basically, do you think it's gonna? It looks like it's been respecting these FIP levels pretty nicely. Do you think it's gonna have to touch the 0.86? I guess to kind of touch it before going higher. One last time, yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it never really back tested it after it got rejected by the all-time highs before, so it would make sense. It would make sense, yeah.
Yeah, is that what it's waiting for though? It's also going to
Yeah.
be like the level over here too, so it makes sense to kind of tap a little bit before going higher. But yeah, that's really that's all I have for IWM.
Well,
do you have anything else for it?
No, that's all I have to. Very simple.
We think alike.
Yeah. Very, very simple.
Yeah. Hymns, big giant cup, I mean, you get a little bit of a cool down here. Like, there's really nothing to talk about hymns. It's a bullish chart. If you're wondering how far this pullback has to be, I mean, it could potentially, like, it could go back down to $25 and even close the gap over here, and it would still be a bullish chart. It doesn't have to, though. That's the thing. Like, you have a lot more support that's going to happen. You have like the rising conversion line over here around like 26, 27 is going to keep rising through time. That could potentially be a support. Is right now it's just basically trying to get back inside of Bollinger Band here a little bit. It was a little bit overextended, but like I don't think it has to come back down and close the gap at 25 at all. That's going to be a downside risk though. That's going to be like the absolute worst case scenario, maybe like 25 or even wick down a little bit of that. But this is a bullish chart as far as I'm concerned. Like, I don't think there's anything really to worry about it. If you're looking at the monthly Bollinger Band, it already kind of tapped the upper Bollinger Band here a little bit. So I don't think that it's like way too far overextended. I think it still have some more room to go. The volume has been very, very nicely pushing price up higher. The lower Bollinger Band is still all the way down in the dumpsters in the negatives. This is a bull trend. It can do whatever the hell it wants to do. Excuse my French. And it's still going to be a bullish trend. The downside is maybe $24, $25. The upside is like, you can talk about FIP levels, but I don't know where it's going to end. So that's all I have for hymns.
All right. Yeah. I just want to show a different perspective and show the 4-hour hymns just because No, it's good. Look, it finally back tested the 4-hour cloud right after it broke out. So it did hold today as a support. And we can see that it is below this 1.272 fib right here, the 3157. So it's kind of going to be stuck in a range, I think. I think maybe just a few 4-hour candles later, then we'll see. It'll pick a direction. Either it'll break through or it'll want to go down and retest the lower 27s, right? We don't know yet, but we got to find out. So it is holding the 4-hour cloud as support. So this has potential to recover nicely, but it is below the 4-hour resistance. So got to be a little bit cautious. That's it.
Nice.
But overall trend, yeah, it's bullish. High time frame, super bullish. I mean, these are all-time highs up here, guys. All-time highs.
So somebody commented that we like us two have some pretty intense sexual chemistry. Is that true?
I mean, obviously, duh.
Oh, well, I guess since nothing is going to happen, I think the chemistry is going to continue to be there. So it's 9 o'clock. We made it. Hour and a half. Let's go.
Yeah,
we did MSTR already, Scott. So yeah.
Yeah, just go back and try to find it.
Yeah, I try to do some timestamps maybe later tonight or tomorrow. We'll see. But yeah, very nice, very nice. I hope Tracker survives. We'll yeah, you guys do a morning show. I guess I'll miss out on that. I'll homo, but that's okay.
Yeah, it is what it is.
It is what it is. All right, man.
All right, see you.
Yeah, see ya. Yep.